you are. Jump up and down and celebrate. If you're ready for an iinspire morning call this Monday morning, I want to hear you say Barbara Streisand.
Barbara Streisand.
Oh yeah, I think she can hear us. And so can everybody else on the line this morning. People calling in from all over the world to enjoy this morning together. So let's welcome everyone by making some noise. Woo! Oh yeah. Round of applause for everyone who called in this morning.
Woo!
Yes, good morning. Happy Monday. Yes. Happy start of a fresh new week. And welcome to another incredible iinspire morning call where our mission is to empower millions of people to live a life that they love and enjoy, and where you can be a leader too. My name is Yali. I'm a coach, entrepreneur, and founder of iinspire. And I inspire, and so do you. And so does today's call leader, who I'm really excited about. I know I say it every time, but really, truly, I think about that one person that day, and I really do get excited. That's exactly where I'm at today, and especially the way he stepped up. Oh my gosh, I'm ready to rock this day. Yes. All right, but a moment before we get into that, let's just explain to the new callers on the line how this call works. Yes. Always, you guys are welcome to call 10 minutes before the call at 6:50 a.m. Pacific time. We start with some priming, which is a closed eye exercise. So if you like meditation, if you want to connect to yourself, that's a real great opportunity. So call in 10 minutes before the call. At 7 o'clock, we start with music and stretches as we just did, and we follow that up with some ground rules in just a moment. You guys know them by heart. This is a time to be silly and just help me out to kind of have fun and use our voices and our words to be silly first thing in the morning. We follow that up with the best part of the call, which is presenting today's call leader, and they'll give us a 20-minute talk followed by an open discussion, which is a great opportunity for you, yes, you, to share your takeaways from the call. So while you're listening, have some kind of active listening, write down notes, think about what it is you're going to share, because your shares are really valuable to other people on this call, as well as to yourself, to really step up, as well as remember. All right. So I can't wait to begin. Let's start with some ground rules. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's Monday. You're kind of tired. You just woke up, but since we just stretched, no excuses. Let's unmute ourselves for this one, and let's do the ground rules just in a way that can wake everybody up, okay? Whatever that means to you, whether it means being loud or silly or shaking your booty while you do it, I want you to participate in the ground rules. So wherever you are, let's start with warming our voices, okay? So let's begin. Throat stalls. Okay, let's begin with rule number 1, which is
mute yourself.
I love it. Yeah. Rule number 1 is mute yourself. And what we mean, of course, is first of all, unmute yourself, because we love your participation. But if you're walking around, you're breathing heavily, if your earrings tapping the phone, if there's dogs in the background or just walking around, make sure you control your mute button. You could do that by tapping your phone. There's a button there to mute, or you can use *6 to mute and *6 to unmute. All right, let's wake up those ones who didn't wake up yet by saying rule number 2, which is
focus.
Yes, rule number 2 is focus. And what we mean by guys, focus is we want to clear away anything that can distract us from being 100,000% here in this moment. Trust me, focusing on being conscious and present first thing in the morning is going to make you a way more effective being throughout your day and your week. So let's focus first thing in the morning, and also control our listening. Like I say always, listen from your life, listen for something you were meant to take away from this call this morning. Also, listen in active listening, meaning thinking that this is a talk that's just for you. Okay, you and the speaker only. If that were the case for real, what would be your takeaways? What would you listen to, and what would you share later? If this was a one-on-one conversation, try it out. Just try it on for size and see if anything magical happens today. All right. I think we are ready for rule number 3, and this time we're really going to wake up every single person on this line and in our house. I hope not. Okay, rule number 3, guys, is have fun and celebrate. Let's show them how it's done. Make some noise.
Woo!
Yeah, let's double up the noise in here just because we can. Make some noise. Yes, have fun and celebrate. There's no better way to start your day. All right, guys. I think I am ready to present today's collier, and here's why I'm excited. His name is Toby, and he loves dancing to the music they play at the mall and jumping in puddles with his daughters. He's passionate about learning and teaching, always learning how to make better mistakes. Toby has worn many hats over the years, including those of ditch digger, professor, CEO, and author, and always strives to do the best he can in every situation. He found the iinspire community last summer, and it changed his life for the better. And I will add, he's been a huge contributor to our iinspire community from the very beginning, not only leading incredible talks and participating in almost every call, but also sharing his notes and sharing his takeaways from a lot of these calls. So ladies and gentlemen, he's stepping up. Let's step up for him as well and welcome him like we would if this was our wedding day. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only Toby. Make some noise!
Good morning, y'all. Can you guys hear me okay? Excellent. So as Yali said, I joined the group last summer, and I am new to that school district. It's amazing. That's all right. Okay. So it's funny, and there's a little side story because that on hold music has been coming on these calls for a little while, and for a long time, Yali thought it was me, and I thought she might have been right, and I was trying to figure out how my phone was doing that. But anyway, so I started doing these calls back in August last year, and it was just amazing the personal transformation that I felt right after I started, and the togetherness and the family that I felt just being part of this group. So I'm here because you guys are here, and you really excite me, and you inspire me every day. I asked Yali if I could give this talk because it was something that just sort of came out to me. So thank you all for being there, and I hope that somebody gets something useful out of today's presentation. But and I did jump in puddles with my 4-year-old last week, and my voice might be a little scruffy, so that's why. But there was a few months ago, there's a friend of mine who's part of is actually part of a mastermind group that I participated in. He posted a question on Facebook, and I'm not really sure what the context of the question was. He writes marketing copy for a living, and it may have been working on a project or something. But what he posted was, what's the most important piece of business advice you could give someone? And I thought about it for just a moment, and I wrote, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. The rest will sort itself out. And I knew it was true, not because some guru or some mentor had told me so, but I just knew it. I knew it instantly after thinking about it. And I just thought of the truly successful people that I know, or the ones that I've modeled and I've studied their lives. And it just was clear to me that that's what they all had in common, was they always did the right thing because it was the right thing to do. So I knew it was true. I posted it on Facebook, and then I went on with my life. Sometimes, I even followed the advice that I had so quickly given, and for the most part, really not thinking about that rest. It would sometimes sort itself out, except maybe if I was doing a good job at it when I did my morning ritual and I was sort of visualizing my future self, my future me. But I just going on with my life. And I wouldn't say that I always lived by this mantra, but I think as I think back on my life, I've known that answer was there for a long time, that thought having formed long before the question was even asked. But recently, I experienced some of that rest sorting itself out. And when it happened, and when I realized what was going on, I asked Yali if I could share with you this morning, hoping that maybe it would help someone else who's trying to do the right thing and finding obstacles or doubts getting in their way. Hoping that if you're that person, that I can give you the advice to just keep on keeping on, because you have no idea the potential impact of your actions on the lives of other people. And if you're not that person today, well, listen anyway, you might like the story. Imagine, if you will, a young woman walking the streets with a backpack full of clothes. Now, if you haven't seen this particular young woman, I bet you've seen one that resembles her. Imagine her thoughts, the thoughts going through her head as she walks around the city all night long, just so she could be awake at 7 a.m. to go to her part-time job. She may have been homeless, but she didn't intend to stay that way. See, she had to keep that job. She had to keep it until she found something better. And she had to get an apartment, because until she did those two things, she couldn't get her son back. And what she wanted more than anything in the world was to be a mother to her little boy. Imagine the power of that young woman's why. Imagine its power to motivate her and to propel her towards success. So I don't have to imagine, because I get to meet her just less than 2 months ago. And if I hadn't gotten to hear her story as I got to know her, I never in a million years would have imagined that it was true. You see, I got to know Inez as she was about a month into the sequence of events that changed her life for the better. When I met her, all I saw was an excellent student, a bright young woman working hard to learn skills that would allow her to have a new career. And I happen to remember the date that I met her, because it happened to be my 45th birthday. I met her on Monday, December 21st, 2015. And it was the first day of the second week of an 8-week-long program in workforce development program that she had enrolled in. And that program, in that program, we work almost exclusively with long-term displaced workers. They say it's not polite to call them unemployed anymore. But these are usually, but not always, people who've been laid off, have used up most of their unemployment benefits. And when I meet them, I can almost always tell within a week why they were laid off. With that said, the program's been unbelievably successful. We take people who've, in some cases, never seen a machine tool or any piece of manufacturing equipment before. We teach them in 8 weeks to become competent operators of that equipment. Sometimes the equipment costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in the past 7 years, we've helped hundreds of people through this program. I believe it's the best program in the world, and the economic impact to our local economy has been measured at something like $250 million. So it's a pretty great program. She was enrolled in the program, and it's not easy to get in. There's a pretty intensive screening process before we accept students, which is why we get a 90+% placement rate of our trainees. But we've also had companies hire an entire class before the class was over. One company hired 10 people out of one class before it was even over. So we know the program works. And I said that I can almost always tell you why our trainees were in that category of long-term displaced worker within a week or so of meeting them. Well, within that first week, I can also usually pick out the stars of the class. And I knew that Inez was going to excel in this class from the very beginning. She had a great attitude. She asked intelligent questions. as the class progressed, she didn't disappoint me. Slowly, as the weeks went by, I learned how she got into the class. And it wasn't through the normal path, but that was okay with me because it wasn't a normal instance of this class for me either. She was in the class because she saw a flyer pinned to the wall of the Lowell, Massachusetts Career Center. She took a picture of that flyer, hoping she might qualify. Yeah. Hello. You guys, did I drop out on audio? Okay. I had a battery-powered mic trying to help me get better audio, and I think the battery died. Okay, so where did I lose you? So this Inez, who's the young woman I met, she saw this flyer, and when she saw the flyer, she wasn't sure if she'd qualify for the class, but she took a picture of it. Took a picture with her cell phone. We've all done that kind of thing. And she took that picture, and she leveraged that picture into getting her little boy back into her life, becoming a certified CNC operator. She rented an apartment. She got her little boy into preschool, and she found a great job. And just from taking a picture of a flyer that she saw. And so I know that she would have been successful with or without this class that I'm part of teaching, just because she was able to do that. But it was pretty amazing. Coincidentally, she starts the job today. So that's kind of a nice little coincidence for today's talk. But as I got to know her, and as I met her and we were working together on the class, I began to learn her story and her backstory. And I started thinking about the flyer, and she had texted me a picture of the flyer because she was so excited about it. And when I thought about that flyer, there were so many reasons that flyer never should have existed. And I started piecing together the sequence of events in my mind that led to that flyer being pinned to the wall. And it was just amazing that I could track that back to a moment when I did something that a lot of people, especially after the fact, told me that maybe I shouldn't have done. And it was, I wouldn't say officially reprimanded about it, but I was counseled that maybe I had made some bad decisions when I did this thing. But I did it because I knew that it was the right thing to do. And that sequence of events from doing that one thing led to this flyer being printed and pinned to the wall, and her seeing that and totally changing her life. And every time I think about it, it just sort of, it just amazes me that I could have even any part of the impact in that. But the thing I did was pretty simple. I hosted an event, and I've hosted lots of events. But this particular event, we brought in about 150 educators. It was a mixture of educators, students, business people, governments, and the print and television media. And I admit that I should have probably communicated more and sooner with the media relations and the government relations people at the university where I work. But I was busy, and I didn't really think through the impact of the TV and the print coverage of our event. And at the event, it was actually a joint meeting of this grassroots business organization that I'm part of. It's dedicated to filling that training pipeline, to getting qualified future employees. And a group of educators that I'm part of. It's a group of people that are training people to do those kind of jobs. And so we have these joint meetings. We do them once a year or so. And we brought in a fancy keynote speaker. We actually showed the world premiere of a TV episode called The Launch Factor, from a TV show called The Launch Factor. And it was one of 3 episodes that were filmed at our facility just the year before. And so that was all good, and nobody really cared about that. But then we gave away just over $1 million worth of software licenses and training materials. And this is actually what I kind of shouldn't have done without asking first. I should have probably had, somebody with the job, somebody with the word vice in their job title maybe on board before committing the university to provide free access to software that we purchased and maintained. But in my own defense, I raised all the money that bought the software, and I really wasn't sure if they would say yes, so I wanted to ask forgiveness instead of permission. And so we went ahead and did this. after the event, there was interviews with the TV and the newspaper people, and I talked a little bit about the software and the gift, but mostly what I talked about was this class that we teach, the class that Inez just recently finished. And I think you got my passion about the class earlier in the call, and how excited I was, and I guess I conveyed that pretty well, because what happened was someone read an article in the Boston Globe. He was the dean of engineering at a different school. He was the dean of engineering at University of Massachusetts Lowell, and so he saw this article in the Boston Globe, and his reaction was, "How come we don't do that at Lowell? How come WPI is getting all the credit for doing these things?" And that started a pretty long, drawn-out conversation. It was a few months later. I was invited with some colleagues that helped put the class together to go meet with this dean of engineering, and it started the question of what could we do to help them offer a class just like the one we taught. And we knew that this was a good idea because our class had been modeled around the country. People wanted to repeat it, but we had never tried to make a copy of it and teach it somewhere else. So we had to figure out, they had to build a facility. So we had to figure out how they could raise the money to buy all the machines that they needed. We had to figure out how they could pay for these classes, because every class that we teach is funded by a government grant. And they've been funded by several different organizations and funding sources there. But we had to figure all those things out. Then we had to start recruiting students for these classes. And so that flyer that Inez saw, that happened because we were getting pushback from the local career centers because our program was competing with programs they offered. And so those flyers got printed up. People from our organization went up there and actually started pinning the flyers up and interviewing people and finding people. So the flyer never should have existed for that reason. It never would have existed if we hadn't done the interviews with the reporter, gotten the article in the Boston Globe. It never would have happened if we didn't do that joint meeting, if we didn't give away that software. It was just the whole sequence of events that led up to the possibility of this happening just kind of blew me away, especially when I saw how it completely changed the life of the person that was influenced. And I've been doing these classes now. We're going into our 8th year, and it's just amazing. The story is actually not unique. She's not the first homeless person that's come into the class and found a home at the end of it. She may be the first person that had lost their child and gotten them back, but it was just a great feeling to know that because I did the right thing when I didn't have to, and when maybe I knew I was going to get in trouble for having done it, this great thing could happen. And so I'm hoping that if you're thinking about doing something, maybe if you've started doing something and you're getting pushback on that you don't hesitate and that you carry through if you're sure that what you're doing is the right thing. I want to thank you guys for listening. I am Toby, and I inspire.
Let's give it up for him one more time. Make some noise for Toby.
And Yali, I just saw your message pop up to do a little summary there, so I can do that if you'd like. But
Sure.
yeah. So just to quickly summarize, I threw a lot of stuff at you there.
I'll point out what I would like to know, also the gist of it. Like, what can we do to get the same results that you think, kind of like your takeaway from the experience?
Okay, so I guess the first thing is that you really have no idea how much impact the things that you're going to do are going to have. If this had been the second class that they offered at the other university, I wouldn't have been there. I was only there because for the first time they taught the class, I offered to go and help out. And so the whole idea is just make sure that if you think the thing that you're doing is the right thing to do, then just do it. And figure out how to get around the obstacles or the people or the things that are holding you back. Because if it's the right thing to do, it is the right thing to do. In summary, it was just this sequence of events that allowed this one person to go through, take the class, not just get a job, but get a career out of it. And in the fact that the only reason that happened was because of so many people doing the right thing. So the organization that we work with that actually organizes the classes is called the Massachusetts Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And so they're the ones that recruit the students. And so they printed up those flyers and posted them at the Career Center, even though the people from the Career Center didn't want to support and promote the class because it competed with classes that they were trying to get funding for. And so the person that pinned up that flyer was doing the right thing, even though it was against some authority. The fact that we even held that meeting and gave away the software that got us all of the media coverage, that got the dean at the other university to see it, that was the right thing to do. I wasn't doing it because I wanted it to end up with this woman getting a job. I was doing it because I wanted to get more recognition on campus. I wanted my face to be out there and for people to know what I was doing. And so my reasons weren't necessarily lined up with where it went, but it was just an amazing sequence of events that led up to this great outcome. And so I wanted to share that with you guys.
That's amazing. You just earned yourself another round of applause. So let's unmute ourselves and give it up one more time. Miss Toby! All right. Toby, I think that's amazing. And to me, this all kind of relates to a bit of the things that, you know how it is, we all listen from where we are in our lives at that moment or what our takeaways are. And for me, first of all, when you're talking about the sequence of events that almost by accident kind of happened when you started doing the right thing, I mean, to me, that's kind of realigning, reconnecting with your source, right? Because when we truly are connected to our source, things that are magical happen in the world. It's like one thing leads to another, and it's like almost like we had to give momentum to what was going to happen, and the moment that we contribute to that momentum, it just continues without us. It's like one forward momentum that leads to a chain of reactions. So they're all kind of in the direction of where our commitment came from, where our meaning came from, where our why and where our focus was. So like you're saying, it may not have been an exact direct outcome or exactly what you thought, but it shaped into something beautiful and amazing. So first of all, I admire you for two things. One is for having, that sense of knowing that you're going to do it, not even knowing how you're going to do it, and being so successful at it, and being such an example to that and to being a contributor in the world. And secondly, for stepping up and wanting to lead a call about it, so you can open up that door to other people to start viewing life that way. And what a beautiful way to start the week than to look around at the opportunities life throws at us. So the most beautiful things in my life started because I chose to do the right thing, even when the circumstances didn't even, give me a way to do it, or I didn't know how. Especially when it has to do with contribution. It's when you want to give, doors will open up. So always look in your life to where there's opportunity to create that, to start a forward momentum in that direction. And I promise great things will happen. And lastly, I just want to say one of the things that are really touching me lately is the opportunity to build a school in a third world country. My friend Tyler is just incredible. I don't know if you guys heard of Change Heroes. You could look it up, changeheroes.com. it's an incredible startup, and they're building homes and building schools all over in third world countries. They've just created a phenomenal transformation and what's possible for people. And I'm really passionate about that. So starting the challenge, I'm going to open the opportunity for people to contribute to that. And it looks so far-fetched, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's something that I kind of want to open up the door to. So you are even motivating me even more into going into that direction and seeing what could open up from that and telling you guys a little bit more about it and sharing. And maybe we'll even bring Taylor on. Maybe he'll want to tell you a little bit about himself. So thank you once again, Toby, for being phenomenal. I'm going to open the call for discussion. I want to hear from you. You. I want to hear from you today what you took away from this call, or where this resonates, where have you done something in your life that kind of relates to the story, or what touched you and inspired you about who Toby is and what he spoke about today. So just a moment beforehand, unmute yourselves, guys. No excuses. Let's walk the roof off this call this morning, and let's give it up for him one more time, ladies and gentlemen. It's the one and only Toby! Yes, unmute yourself and start by presenting yourself, saying your name, followed by I Inspire. This is Yali and I Inspire. Who wants to share? Hi, this is Sarah and I Inspire.
Woo!
Thank you. I just wanted to say really quick, when you're talking about sequences of events that led to something awesome. So I've been doing Tony Robbins, and I've been coaching, and I'm fortunate enough to have a family who's doing that with me. And also incredibly fortunate enough to have that family, they're my bosses, like I work for my parents. And so my job has kind of been holding. And something just absolutely amazing happened the other day. My mom, she told me, because the head of our HR department quit, just randomly quit, and so we have no HR. And she came up to me, she's like, Sarah, I know you want to coach, and I know you want to help people. And so she said, she's giving me that position, so she's giving me a raise, and she's letting me coach people. Yeah, and she's letting me live my dream. And so there's so many awesome things that happened, and it was just so crazy that the sequence of events that happened, that it couldn't have happened any other way. And I'm just so thankful. And so your story, it made me realize that, and it just made me inspired. So I just wanted to thank you for that. This is amazing. So woo! I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sarah. She makes us so happy. Let's make her happy back and give it up for her. Make some noise.
Thanks, Sarah. Woo!
Yes. Who wants to share that? Woo. Come on, guys.
Y'all, you need to get a sound effect of crickets.
What's that?
You need to get a cricket sound effect so the crickets can talk.
Hold on, let me unmute some people here just in case they want to share. All right, who wants to share? Come on, guys. We're literally going to end the call if you guys don't share.
Q&A session started. Q&A session is over.
Sorry, my bad. Come on, you guys are unmuted. Who wants to share? Monday morning. Woo!
Hey,
All right. What?
oh, hey, it's Satish. I wanted to say hello, and I have a question.
Oh, there we go. Ratish. Give it up for Ratish, guys. Make some noise. Come on.
Woo!
Thank you.
There are people screaming, but nobody shares.
It's Monday. They'll wake up. A quick question, a bit late, but you have a lot of challenges is like trying to change the state of people and their opinions to match yours. And it sounds like you had a lot of struggle to deal with it. And I guess, what are your recommendations for such a tough situation that to convince people to be on your side?
Well, in this instance, I actually didn't really care if they were on my side. I just did it anyway. But I figured, I guess, that they would see eventually that it was the right thing. And I knew that all of the publicity that we were going to get would be good publicity. So although I expected to be reprimanded for doing it without asking first, I knew nobody could really be too mad at me for getting such good publicity for the school. That's I guess not being afraid to go against authority may be a strength that I have. It may be a weakness. It depends on the moment. But I really didn't care if they didn't like what I was doing because I was so sure that I was right.
Awesome. I like it.
I love it. That's a great answer and a great question too. I love it. I love it. Love it. Do it anyway, guys. Make some noise for Ratish.
Woo, Ratish, thank you.
Yeah.